Well, good afternoon, everybody. I have a treat for you today. I have a treat. Sitting in my green room, ready to come on board, is Lisa Crown, the national sales coach for Fidelity National Title Group. Super excited to have her. This is going to be a great podcast. But with no further ado, let's bring in Lisa.
Oh,
Lisa, good
hi.
afternoon. How are you doing?
Doing great, Randy. How are you?
Amazing. Thank you for adding some beauty to this podcast because, when you have a face for radio, you can't always be on camera, but thank you for adding the beauty today.
Oh, thank you so much. Honored to be here.
Oh, I had such a great time connecting with you and talking about all things coaching and really what you do. And I'm excited to dig into this a little bit. As a coach for years, I've got one mental set of coaching, and then you're coaching top title reps around the nation as a national sales coach. Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
And newbies.
Say that again.
And newbies also.
I was going to say, and it's like herding cats sometimes, right? So, let's dive right into that. So how long have you been in the real estate space and in the title industry, and what's your background? I know it, but tell the people so they get to know and understand you a little bit.
Absolutely. So I've been in the title insurance business for 25 years. I was actually a title sales executive myself for about 18 and a half years in Los Angeles, California. Started with 0 orders, worked myself up to the top 5% in the country and the top 1% in the state of California. So did pretty well organic growth, which is pretty fabulous. But prior to that, I really, to be honest, I really did get in young right after college, but I really worked in some restaurant business, did some acting stuff, college stuff. And from all that, I met somebody who was in title. So I really got pulled into this, right out of college, basically, and been in ever since, and have, really enjoyed the ride, so to speak. But then as I was a title sales executive, I was doing some nonprofit coaching for a local nonprofit called Because I Love You, where I was helping troubled teens and their parents have a healthier, happier home. And what was happening is that I was getting referred on the outside. And because I was doing that, I started to charge because they weren't in the nonprofit. And so I had a side coaching business going on for years, and I was a title rep. And I would tell you this straight up, and I mean it wholeheartedly. I loved it so much. I did it for free for 8 years until I kind of like I said, had to charge. But man, if someone would pay my bills, I would do it for free. I really do love it so much. And it just really occurred to me, even though my business was flourishing and it was incredible, I was made for more. I really did believe it wholeheartedly. I felt like the industry needed a title sales executive who did these the rep's exact job. We didn't have that. And I wanted to build a program from the ground up. And I was so grateful that Fidelity National Title Group said, we'll give you the platform. And so I built it. It's been 10 years in this position, and I've loved every minute.
No kidding. I did not know that you built that really from the ground up. And
we did.
It's changed the face of the company. I think the coaching does. I think there's a lot of avenues that, we could plug into to get help and things. But coaching to me is often misunderstood. You have mentorship, you have coaching, you have therapy, you have guidance, you have brokerages for overseeing compliance and different things.
Yeah.
But to me, there's always been a kind of funny blend between this therapist, coach, and mentor. And they're really very, very specifically different, right? So in your coaching, do you have a lot of accountability? Is that an expectation? Is that something you lay on them? Is that something they ask for and then you fulfill? Or is it like they get it whether they ask for it or not?
That's so cute. I really appreciate that you brought that up. I do think there's confusion in coaching. I think a lot of people say coaches are for people who aren't doing good. Yeah. Coaches are for people, who maybe are doing good, but they're just going to kind of talk them through stuff rather than keep them accountable, push them, challenge them. I feel the difference between a therapist and us, Randy, is shooting someone straight. The therapist always says, how does that make you feel? There will be suggestions there. I've been to therapy. There will be suggestions there, but they don't shoot you straight. A manager also runs the risk on shooting employees straight. So we become our own little group that we get to be super real. with our clients. And that's my specialty. I wouldn't want to be curbed. I always tell people when they sign up with me, there's no filter, there's no curbing. I do a lot with accountability exercises. If they are not in motion, taking action where they can turn it back to me and I can scale, we're going to run into a snag. I mean, I could advise and I could talk to people and communicate. Some people call me with a quick thing and I give them a quick thing and it helps them for sure. But I think in the longevity of coaching, the master plan is to hear new best practices, hear how to work them and take on these systems, do it and turn it back in. I'm big about what I call money work. Do the work, make the money.
Yeah, I love that. And it's when you look at this industry, they need guidance. They need love and appreciation, but I think too many coaches are yes ma'am, yes sir. They're just, I love Jim Carrey's movie Yes Man. It's kind of like that in the coaching industry, and now with life coaching taking off, everybody's a life coach, right? I'm 22 years old. I just graduated college and I'm a life coach. And so I'm not knocking that. I'm not knocking the industry. There's somebody that will benefit from a 22-year-old life coach. There will be. But I just think it's been really kind of overpopulated in the coaching space over the last 5 years or 10 years, maybe. Probably 5 years, in my opinion. When I coached for Tom Ferry back then, we were very foundational, right? He came from Mike Ferry. Tom Ferry's his son. And it's very foundational, maybe even too much for me, because it's like fit in this box 70% of the time, then you can run off on your own a little bit. And I'm like the wild, wild west, When I'm coaching, I want to get your stake and opinion on this. But when I'm coaching, I'm really diving into the individual, not following a boilerplate of what the right steps are, because some people do need life coaching. Some people need relationship coaching before I could freaking business coach them. Right? Because if their relationship's out of whack and they're in the spare room on a couch, we can't talk about taking you from 30 to 80 transactions. It's not the conversation, right?
No, we wear a lot of those hats, Randy, right? We are therapists. We are we have to be chameleons at times and put on those different hats, in this
100%. So how do you do that? What's your personality, first of all? Have you done the DISC profile, or I'm sure kind of your driver personality?
Yeah. I mean, everyone's already told me. I haven't actually done it, but everyone's like driver.
I said that within 60 seconds.
So let's go there. I think that's,
I think it's probably accurate. So at home with Mr. Husband, what's your husband's name, by the way?
Ryan.
So you told me I could ask you anything and nothing's off limits. So I'm going to do it. So who's the boss? Who's the boss at home? Do you go home and do you come into a place? And I'm talking to myself right now, but you're in a boss role, you're in a coaching role, a seniority role, an authoritative role, tell you what to do role.
Yep.
How do you shut that off when you go home?
Yeah, my husband and I have a very mutually respectful relationship. I feel like if there's a pair of pants, he's got a leg in and I have a leg in. We work as this like dynamic duo. So, if he has something that he needs and it's important to him, I'm going to take care of it. I really do feel like it's a mutual relationship. I don't wear the pants fully and he doesn't fully. My husband was a homicide detective. So he was one of those guys drilling people and working with suspects and all that. He had that high energy when he came home. I mean, my pants. The what?
A lot of curiosity, right?
Yes. Yeah,
it's just I'm really playing out how you guys interact in this. So sorry.
Yeah, please. He's like an interrogator and I'm a boss. So to me,
that's where I was going with that.
Yeah, for sure. And so we both have to leave our work at home and we have a mutual respect and we are on the same page with parenting and our finances. And we work as a team.
That's rad. And you flying your ring around looks like this in the camera. By the way. Beautiful. I have a beautiful 70%, not 50-50. She's 70%. I'm 30%. Kirsty in my life and my relationship and my family. And, in bringing her into the business, because she was working for the county. And I'm like, hey, it makes a lot of sense. Work in the business. I don't want to be your boss, but I want to find this dynamic. And She was my director of growth, which I think is cool, but my acronym was dog. So I kept going, hey, I'd like to introduce you to my dog, Kirsty. She's like, don't do that again. So we had to change her name. She's director of expansion, Doe. It's this little cute doe now, right?
That's cute.
So, but she's amazing. And she's I'm a visionary and she's an integrator, completely different personalities, right? I'm coming from coaching all day. She comes in and I'm like, coach, 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 coach. And I'm like, I have to stop that. And I didn't get permission to coach her. It's just a natural state that I have to like switch out of. So we've been working on boundaries of time. Like I get 5 o'clock, at 7 o'clock. I'm sorry, what?
I said, do you want me to coach you through this? I have some feedback.
100%. You think you're here for free? I'm looking for some shit right now. So yes, in any areas you see I could be coached in, I'm very coachable, by the way.
You're so funny. I'm just teasing.
But it's so true. You know, that's such a dynamic. How long have you been married?
Oh, we're almost 15 years.
Oh, good for you. Congratulations.
You. What about you?
And, we've been going out. We got engaged on Valentine's Day. Such a
I
know it was the best thing ever. I don't know
you nailed that.
Yeah, I don't know if you know Brent and Kathy Gove in the EXP family. He's one of the top agents. But we were with them in Vegas, and it was this whole special surprise. I even surprised Brent. Kathy knew Brent can't keep a secret.
Oh.
So we had this whole dinner thing planned, and this thing came out full of smoke, and she thought it was a Danish or a pastry because we'd had them there before, and they came out in the dish. And so she was like this. And Brent's like, what's going on? And they opened this thing, and there's a ring in it, and it was really special.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, she's a good woman. I'll tell you, don't tell anybody.
Okay.
We'll get married soon. Her daughter gets married in April. So, we want to get that passed and not take anything away from that special time.
Congratulations, Randy. I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. When I look at balancing work and home is way more difficult than I expected. I coach people to it every day.
Yeah.
But it's hard to do it when you're involved, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what advice would you say, Coach Lisa, to people that are working together? And this is not about me right now.
You mean people who work in the same industry or the same with their spouse?
No. So I'm sorry, I didn't clarify. I'd like you to address that one if you have a good answer for that.
Or just two people coming home from work and creating the shifting into their time.
Yeah, I think for me, I have a lot of high-powered entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Maybe they're real estate agents, maybe they're title, national sales coaches like you. How do you come in a coaching capacity, mentality, and give that delineation of both respect and duties and expectations? How do you set those boundaries? They may cross over for people listening.
Yeah, definitely. The truth of the matter is you have to have an intention. What is it that you actually want in your relationship truly, and identify that and be crystal clear. Then you're working from that point. For example, if you need to walk into the house and you need 30 minutes to unwind, you need to communicate that to the spouse. I need 30 minutes. I don't want to talk. Don't ask me a question. Don't hand me a kid. Don't hand me a chore. Don't smack me for something I did. Don't teach me a lesson. Leave me the bleep alone. And you know what? There's something in that if they get their 30 minutes, whatever they choose to do, then that 30 minutes is up. They're ready to take on the world. There sometimes needs to be the pause. I used to, when I was a sales exec, work with really high level real estate agents. And this was a tip that I got from a few of them, that they would do this and it worked very well for them. Some people don't need it. Walk in, hand me the kid, and let's rock. I think also the cell phone. The phone creates so much productivity, so much distraction. If you could shut your phone off, it shows the utmost respect to the person you're with. So in my household, we shut off the phones during meals. It is rough. I would lie if I told you I handle it like a pro, but I don't. It's rough because my kids don't know what my struggle is inside my cranium. But I sit there and smile and I'm listening. And how was your day? You can't say how's your day and be on your phone and absorb information, give the feels and the attention that they need. In fact, right before this call, I was in the middle of doing something and my daughter came into my office. Mom, da-da-da-da-da. I had to stop her. I'm working right now. I need you to hold that thought. when I'm done with this meeting, I will come in and hear what you have to say, because it's unfair to her that she would get a partial hearing. And that works for adults too, because it creates the frustration. The other thing is, what are we trying to achieve before we go to bed? We all get 24 hours in a day. What do you want it to look like before you put your head on the pillow? When I lay my head on the pillow at night, I always say to myself, was I in the pocket today? And if I was, why? And if I wasn't, why? And I like that intel. It's short. It's a quick, pep talk with myself to get me that information. I might identify like I snapped at Ryan, or identify I snapped at the kids, or identify that I didn't do enough revenue generating activities to bring on more people to fill. I get to kind of have that moment, and that moment is special. But I do feel like to have that balance is setting your intention. You identify the intention, and then identify, what does that actually look like? If that's not on paper, it's not going to come to fruition. When it goes onto the paper, you can put activities next to those things. And this is a little brain train. You can't say your kids are your number one priority when you walk in, you're on the phone for hours, and then you eat dinner on the phone, and then you go on the computer, and then you see what I'm saying? Like, careful about that, because then you create yourself a pile of being unhappy or disconnected or dissatisfied or whatever, because you're not living your intention. It has to be louder than some of that stuff.
You just dropped like 6 or 7 like life lessons all there in 3 minutes. The big takeaway, Lisa, is the phone. I applaud you for that. We haven't mastered that, but it's needed.
No.
And it's needed because you could feel the little bit of tense when I'm still in work mode and she's asking me a question and she's just gotten home, and we're turning this into a relationship advice, which is awesome actually, because it's all relative. But, really focusing on what is your intention that you want to accomplish, and being the best version of that.
That's right.
And for me, I heard you say something that really stood out to me. But when you are identifying these things that we can control, right? Like the healthy boundary is what I was trying to get at. The healthy boundary you have at the house with the 30-minute thing, the healthy boundary with the child, and being able to have the communication ability to tell her these are why, right? That's going to help her be a better person as she grows and comes into the electronic world. Because I'm going to be 60 in August. It feels like I'm in my 40s. I feel great. I'm very healthy and I get compliments, but I'm sick. I'm going to be 60. I can't believe that.
I would have lost that bet.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I really do. I appreciate that. But I've also just embraced it now. I lied about my age when I got out of the military because I wanted to I was working for places and I was the boss over all these older guys. And so I lied about my age for years. And then I got to a point I lied about the other way. And my whole life, I don't know what freaking birthday I have in real life. Right?
It's cute.
But what I've learned the most through my coaching is in the absence of communication, stories get created and upsets occur.
Yes.
It's like my favorite statement from Coach Bill Pipes. And that's stuck with me for literally 5, 6, 7 years since he said it. And I can bring it into every situation and add it to every solution, almost without exception, right?
Right.
And so like in the absence of communication, stories get created, upsets occur. And I start looking at my clients and I'm like, hey, what story did you create in that scenario you just told me? And he's like, God damn, I hate when you do that. I'm like, I didn't do anything. I'm asking a question, right? Yeah. And that's such a powerful part of the coaching envelope. So I want to transition a little bit. And, you're literally up here when it comes to the executive level coaching and the things that you do. And I'm sure you've got thousands of coaching hours in. What would you do in this market? The lending space is just a hot mess right now. I've like Poor Things come to mind, right? Poor Things, 80, 90% off in a lot of these companies. Title's been impacted just as equally. We're off 40% in most markets. I don't know what your numbers are, and it's okay if we don't talk about the numbers, but things are off. How do you take a newer title rep, title officer, support personnel, and take them from an entry point into a market like this that's an ass kicker into motivation, inspiration, perspiration, moving into activity in your business? Walk me through that. Walk the listeners through that.
Absolutely. It starts with your mindset. Can't get anywhere at all if we don't have this guy right. The other second thing is I got to understand what drives you. If I'm not totally clear about what drives you, what makes you tick, what we're really fighting for, it's going to be really hard to get there. The other thing is I like to call it the map. We need like a roadmap to get where we need to go. And so I work them through a map, and that's mindset, action, and a plan. It sounds really simple, but when you break it down, it's the answer. The mindset is such a huge piece. It just kind of piggybacking what you said is that you create your own story. So if you sit there and say the market's not good, it's bad, everything's horrible, the rates of this and this, that's your story. That's the market you're showing up to every day. But if you get in the mindset of, my market share is 20% and there's 80% still out there, that's your market. That's your market. Deals are still being done. Lenders too. Deals are still being done. And so they stop when that's your story. It's not my story. So my thing is getting them once we get the mindset right, that piece, we move the action. The action is everything. You can have results or excuses. You can't have both. It's one of my favorite all-time quotes. Yeah. And the excuses are really heavy in a down market, really heavy. People lean into them. They believe them. They tell them. And by the way, nobody cares. They just don't. It's just a reality thing. Once we start getting the action clear, like today, a student said, I opened 3 deals, brand new, just started, less than 45 days ago. I opened 3 deals, coach. It's so great, and the thing about it is she goes, but I need to be at 6. Fantastic. It's the action. The action is how much time are you calling a day? 1 hour a day, coach. It has to be 2 hours. Here's my advice, and this goes for realtors, lenders, title people, escrow officers, whoever. If you don't like your numbers, you're calling 2 hours a day. You like your numbers, you're calling 1 hour a day. And that's the activity. I have lots of activities, but that's one and showing you an example. Then we go to the plan. From the 1st to the 30th or 31st of the month, there is a plan in there. Every day has a plan. And it should be something, I created something called the victory swipe. So if anybody knows me, they know that I do this thing that when you get it done, done, and done, you earn the swipe. So with the yellow highlighter. So you get this roadmap all written out. These activities have to move into your time blocks. Once done, give it a victory swipe and watch the opportunities for the appointments and the orders coming in. It's the map.
I love that. And you just warmed my heart over by saying 2 hours a day of prospecting. It's so interesting. In my coaching, I have clients, I have a couple of them that did 1,000 transactions a year, just top of their game on every level. And then I have clients that come in and are doing, let's just say they're doing 6 deals a year and they want to get to 25 and 50 and whatever, right? They're in the beginning of their journey. And I asked the agent that's doing 1,000 transactions, are you prospecting? And they're like, what? And I'm like, you're prospecting. How many hours a day? They're like 3 minimum. I'd like to do more. And I'm like, okay, awesome. Right. I'm celebrating that. And then I talked to this agent that is doing 6 deals a year and they're wanting to get to 25. I'm like, how much are you prospecting? Well, you don't understand. My business is different. And I'm like, no, I understand perfectly. What are you committed to every day? Show me your calendar. And it's non-existent. If it is, it's so hit and miss, right? And it's that big red truck, but you cannot tell them that necessarily without them understanding the mindset, but the drunk monkey behind that. And all of a sudden you get into call reluctance, you get into all these things that come up in their life when they weren't allowed to talk on the telephone. They weren't allowed to do this. They couldn't speak their mind. They, mind your P's and Q's, whatever it is. We have to break through all those things that are in the way of that activity. So for me, it's foundational. It's like, if you're going to coach with me, we lay the foundation. You got to start with 1 hour a day, period. And I have this analogy in this market. And again, thank you, Bill Pipes, for coaching this to me, is 1 hour a day in this market is survival. 1 hour a day minimum, 5 days a week, survival. 2 hours a day, you're going to have growth. 3 hours a day, you're going to dominate. And I don't care what industry you're in. Because then we start scaling and leveraging the time that we don't have in our business because we're taking 2 or 3 hours into the forward-facing prospecting. I love that stuff. And you brought it up, and I just love the fact that you're focused on that with your people.
You know what I love? The drunk monkey. I love that you brought that up. I love him. You know why? He solves so many problems when people can understand that's what's going on in their cranium. I actually did on my podcast, I did a drunk monkey podcast. You got to hear it, Randy.
Oh, I love it. I'd love to. I
brought him up. He's the
I love
best.
the drunk monkey, man. I like throwing that little stuffed monkey around the room and showing him who's boss, like a boss.
Yep. Yep. You can shut him up in a nanosecond. Got to take action.
Totally. So I really love the style of this, Lisa, and thank you for being here today. A couple questions, and we'll kind of get this
Sure.
wrapped up. I think you really had an impact on people if they listen to this and understand it.
Okay.
Morning routine. I'm a big, huge believer in morning routines. Walk me through what your morning routine looks like, times if you want to add them. But what's an average or basic day for you, morning routine wise?
Absolutely. First of all, I just want to tell all the listeners, you have to listen to one of the best books of all time. It's called Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, Elrod. For those of you who haven't heard, he's insanely smart and cool guy with a very, very interesting and crazy story. His messaging is really about focusing in on yourself in the morning at whatever time, you're willing to give it. I never had a miracle morning. I never did. I didn't know. I just wung my stuff in the morning when I was a sales exec. It was all about everybody else around me. What do I need to do to be there for everybody else? As I, grew up and got into my national sales position and read that book, it changed everything. So since that day, so we're going on about 12 years now, I wake up every single day and I take care of my kids, and getting them off to school. Once they get off to school, my miracle morning activates. They're a part of it for sure. I do have that in my thing. First of all, my miracle morning is pinned up on the wall right now. Every single thing that I do with the times in which I'm going to do them. So I go immediately to my success list for my assistant, because you're only as good as your assistant, and my assistant needs to be teed up for a productive day herself. So I send off the to-do list there. I will tell you this, by the way, a very, very important point. Once I get up out of bed and, do some of the hygiene piece, I immediately get into my workout clothes. I don't know if I'm going to work out or not. It's the ultimate goal. And I would lie if I go, I worked out 5 days a week and da-da-da-da-da. You know what I do? I get in workout clothes 5 days a week. Okay. High five to me on that. My goal, I always say, and I talk about this a lot, bare ass minimum to the goal. My bare ass minimum is that I'm in the outfit. The goal is that I went to the gym. So my goal is that I stretch, I go do the gym, I pray, I meditate, I journal in doing a gratitude journal, and I do my posting. So there's these things that are all listed out that I am doing every single morning in their time blocking position. Sometimes it reroutes. Sometimes I'll meditate before I pray, sometimes whatever. And I do different things like that. But this is a non-negotiable for me. These are what I call my non-negotiables in the morning. And let me tell you what it does. It tees me up for energy, focus. I feel happy.
Energy.
I don't have a pile of things, because these activities are displacing things in my world, sorting out thoughts and stuff, or pain, or something upset me or whatever. I sorted out through all these things, and now I'm ready to start and conquer my day. And that's where that's where I start my day. My goal is definitely to be at the gym, get activity, move the body. Let's say I miss the workout, right? Sometimes I will take my headset when I coach and I will do laps as I coach, and move my body. So if you're a prospector, buy the headset, I just move around. And even though I didn't do the Supremo workout, I had body movement.
You were intentional. You were intentional.
Yes.
And that's what I hear about your morning routine is intention, right? And you keep referencing thing on the wall. That's a 4x6 foot board. That's a 4x5 foot board. I have them like everywhere. My goals, my dreams, my visions, and
love.
Yeah, those things are important. And Hal Elrod's book changed my world as well.
I love it.
Oh yeah, totally. I was in a what was that? It was kind of a fad for a little bit, but you can chime in and listen to the conversations. What was it called about?
Oh yeah, that chat room.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. But
I know what you're talking about.
A million people hit it in a week, and then it kind of fizzled out a little bit.
You did.
But Grant Cardone came into my room one day. Hal Elrod came into my room one day, and we had this room called Miracle Morning, right? We just named it because we're trying to inspire our people.
Yes.
And he came in the room and talked for like 20 or 30 minutes. It was incredible.
I love it. I love that. He's been so great and so inspiring. I actually interviewed him on my podcast.
Did you really?
It was a bucket list. It was. And I interviewed Grant Cardone also.
I'm gonna try and get him. I have a big event in Salem, a real estate event in July of 24, and I've got some big names coming in. But I want to get Howell Elrod. That's one of my bucket list guys, and get him in there.
He's incredible.
So exciting. You got me all fired up now. It's the end of my day, and you got me fired up.
I love it.
All right, so I dig it too. Thank you so much for being here.
You bet.
One of the final questions, I want to ask you two things. A couple of things. What books are you reading right now? That's important for the viewers to think about that. I'd love to hear that, and I'll share a couple that I'm reading at the time. But what books are you reading right now that are maybe impactful for you or others?
I definitely have a lot of people that like to be number one, right? And so I like to read books that would work for our big producers, the people doing 1,000 deals a year. You really have to tee them up. So if you're a top producer, if you're a killer, want to be a killer, and that's what you're gunning for, you got to read Relentless by Tim S. Grover. He's the off-court coach for Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, and Michael Jordan. And then he has his next book, which is called Winning, by, again, Tim S. Grover. To me, I feel like Relentless comes first and Winning comes second, but those are for the elite. Those are for either you are right now a killer top producer or you want to be one. If you don't want to be a killer, don't read either one of those books.
Not going to make sense.
It's not going to make sense. It's not going to click. You'll be done.
Oh, I love that.
Another one is The Path Made Clear by Oprah Winfrey. That book was so good because it was a medley of all the best people she's ever interviewed in her life and what the best lines that they had to say. And that book just rocked me to my core.
Oh my gosh.
I have so many.
Amazing.
I have so many books. I mean, honestly, I will just tell you this. My goal is I'm reading 2 books a month. It doesn't always happen that way, but that is my goal every single year. So right now I'm probably at 18 for the year. So I'm behind for one reason or another, but it's my goal. So next year I want to hit that 24 and then up it. That's amazing. They say, some of the most famous people in the entire world up at the top of their game are doing 2 to 3 full read books.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Audible listener, but that they are reading 2 to 3 a month. And that's my goal. I have so many amazing books in my repertoire for sure.
Probably the greatest thing I could look back on my coaching and say, thank you, Lord, is the fact that I'm reading books now. Because I did not read at all before I started coaching at all. Me and either. I hated school, barely got through everything, didn't graduate, went in the military with took the test and stuff. But when I started coaching, I became just a consumer. I was just devouring books and I loved it. And now, I got books everywhere. It's kind of a pain in the butt. Me too. But for me, Tribe of Mentors by Tim Ferriss was amazing. That's just little snippet interviews of probably like 200 people. The book is the size of an old Yellow Pages. It's huge. And it's these little 1 and 2 page interviews with amazing people from every different walk of life you can imagine. Really inspiring I just flip through it and I just pick a person. I start reading it and it's got everything from Kobe Bryant to Anthony. It's just crazy.
What's the name of it?
It's called Tribe of Mentors. And it's Tim Ferriss interviewing these hundreds of people in a podcast type format, right? Tell me all about you. What made you successful? A little bit of format of questions. It's really cool. Think and Grow Rich is my Bible outside my Bible. It's been the turning point mentally and physically and all those things. And right now I'm reading, and by the way, if you haven't read EOS, Entrepreneur Operating Systems, by Gene Wickman, which is Floyd Wickman's son, which Floyd Wickman was a big trainer back when I started real estate. He was the, kind of an old fashioned guy, but that is, EOS and Traction are the 2 books that I think are the blueprints for most entrepreneurs. And then right now I'm reading Buy Back Your Time and Essentialism, really focusing on more is better and saying no to people coming from a recovering codependent. I am a yes guy. I want to satisfy everybody. It makes me feel good to do things for you. It makes me feel good to be on stage. It makes me feel good when people appreciate me or give me gratitude. And I've learned to say no a lot. And Essentialism takes you through a journey of saying no that's completely different way of doing it. And then buy back your time is really just kind of like a foundational understanding of how you could start evaluating things in your life and understand that everything you do in this life has to be leveraged into more time. We can leverage to more money. AI's that shiny object right now, but I think AI's greatest asset is leveraging to more time. And so for me, that's what it's all about, right? And it's probably a maturity age thing. As you get older, you value your time even more. But man, this has been so good. So, final question:
Okay.
what impact do you want to leave on the world? Lisa Crown, national sales coach for Fidelity National Title Group. What impact do you want to leave on the world?
Gosh, so many things come to mind. It's such a great question. I want the impact you want to leave, but a couple things come to mind, to be honest. Number one, something that changed me forever, and it was recently shared on one of my podcasts with a UFC fighter, was I said to him, when you go in the ring and you get knocked out and you're on the ground and you're a pancake, how do you handle that? How do you rise from that? And he said, you know what, coach? He goes, I never lose in the ring. He goes, because I either win or I learn. And I feel like when he told me that, I don't know what else he said after that. I had a stop in my tracks, this aha moment. The world froze.
Holy
and in that
shit,
moment,
I got major goosebumps.
Yeah, shining down on me going, I meant to tell the world this. I meant to share with people, you either win or you learn. And I'm on a mission. I talk about it, coach about it, preach about it, work through it. It's in all my work. So to me, I feel like that is such a big thing. The other thing is I really do feel, my last thing before I go is, I feel like I'm supposed to be here to help people unlock that full potential, Randy. I think people play way too small day to day. That overthinking drunk monkey bullshit story they've got going and flowing is what's their guide. It's their driver. They need to kick that shit out and get in the driver's seat. And I think I'm that in between, that tweener, in the tween, in between that piece that's going to help get them there. That's my purpose. And when I can see that happen with my work, it just it's like explodes my heart. And then I know I'm in the pocket.
Yeah, you are a giver, and you have a massive heart. And I love getting to know people like this on these podcasts.
So
you have a new friend, a new fan. And
Thank
I
you.
love that. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? That's what came up when you said that story. And I love Mike Tyson's thought about that, because everybody's got a plan until it gets hard. I cannot say how much I love that. That's the one takeaway for me is I don't lose, I win, or I learn. I don't know if you've heard Jocko, the Navy SEAL guy, but he talks as a leadership, and I'll leave the listeners with this. When the people come to him and they go, hey, boss, we got a problem. This is going on. The wheels fell off that. This broke, this thing. And he goes, good. And they're like, what do you mean good? He goes, good. Now you get to learn. You get to learn adversity. You get to learn how to work through that. You get to learn how to be a leader. Good. And then it just gave me goosebumps. And then he comes in with some other thing. They're taking all this fire and they're doing all these things. And the guy's like, we got this problem. He's like, good. You didn't get the equipment you wanted? Good. You're going to be stronger because of you have the old equipment. All these things. And to me, it was just like it was that I win or I learn. I never lose in the ring. That is worthy of closing this podcast. I put that amazing. I really, really appreciate you being here. You are a boss. You are a boss. It's not like a boss. You are a freaking boss. And so I really appreciate you being here, Lisa. And thank you for all you do. And I think you're going to impact people as we go. So in closing, if you're enjoying this, and smash the like and subscribe buttons, join our podcast. And Lisa, how can people find you if they want to track with you and look for your podcast and that kind of stuff?
Oh, thank you. That's so kind. Get Real with Lisa Crown podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Podbean is where you can hear. I have over 160 that are meant for salespeople in general. A lot of title sales stuff going on there. I have lisacrown.com. Those that I bring in, I do for Fidelity National Title Group family. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. My handle is at Coach Elsie, and that's ELSEELC. Spelled that out. And then Lisa Crown on Facebook. Please friend me there.
That's so amazing. You are amazing. Thank you for being
So
here.
are you.
I've learned lots, and we'll see you next time. All right.
Thank you so much,
All right.
Randy.
Have a
Take
great
care.
day.